My people, President Ruto, wacha nicheke kidogo, alienda Ethiopia for a grand inauguration Renaissance Dam that has been built for 14 years with the struggle of Ethiopian citizens. Only taxpayers' money to build that particular dam, one of the biggest dam in the African continent. And I want you to listen to the Kasongo's speech in Ethiopia. Ndio muniambia hata mwizi anakosanga maneno ya kuongea. Yani aamini that hii dam ilijengwa na taxpayers money.
Knowing very well that the sweat and blood and energy and effort and resources that have been put in the development of this dam was as a result of locally mobilized resources, money raised by Ethiopians to build this monumental project gives us confidence of the ability of us as a people to take charge and command our own development into the future. The fact that you have raised $5 billion without debt, without borrowing, without support from others, makes us believe that indeed Africa can take charge of its own destiny.
Yani, haamini that has happened in Ethiopia. Let me tell you, when you are focused, no looting, no corruption, everything will happen according to your wishes. You people, you are so ignorant and so entitled ati si hata mapresident wengine waliiba. He should be an example. Kina Captain Ibrahim Traore walipata madeni, they paid. And saizi wamefocus. The citizens are enjoying Ibrahim Traore's leaders. Angalia kitu inafanyikana Ethiopia saizi. So you will start generating your electricity from Ethiopia. Good as Kenyans. The day you will wake up from the biggest slumbers that you are in, hiyo ndio siku mutajua it was too late. You are giving a damn to things that cannot help you.
Hi fam. Listen to Ruto and his housing project agenda, then come we discuss a little bit.
2 years ago, we decided that we are going to get millions of our people. In fact, 7 million of Kenyans live in slums. And we decided that we are going to give dignity to our people and we are going to build houses for them. I am happy that Ethiopia, in your vision, is going to build 1.5 million houses. We are also on that journey. Already, we have 700,000 housing units on the pipeline. We are already constructing 170,000 houses as I talk to you. And Kenyans, from their own resources, without debt, without support from others, have raised $4 billion worth of projects under the housing program. It confirms to you that what you are doing in Ethiopia is what we are doing in Kenya. And that is what we should be doing in our region. That way, we can emancipate our people from debt.
Let's have an honest conversation. My 2 cents. Yes, very true. Ethiopia, they do have a housing project. They call it condominium housing project. It's similar to Ruto's idea, only that their housing project, the condominium, it's not targeting the taxpayers. It's not heavily pegged on the payroll, on the payslip of the Ethiopians. Their condominium project goes actually like this. The government provides subsidies to some of the contractors and government contractors. They build these blocks, they build the houses, then they will invite people to bid for those who want like a housing mortgage or something like that. Then also the government reduces the taxes. So the houses are built, then they collect money after. So there is a big difference, like day and night, comparing to Ruto's housing project. Every time Ruto is selling this housing project, he tries to tell us that he wants to eradicate poverty and make sure that everybody owns a house in Kenya. First, let's be clear and honest on this point. The housing, this housing project of Ruto's doesn't have a clear framework. And it's not everybody who is contributing is guaranteed to have a house. So most of the people who are contributing, they are just doing the Lord's work, and money that is being taken from their pay slips, they will never see that money again, because it's a levy. It's not voluntarily, it's mandatory. So Ruto says that he wants, to make sure that everybody gets a house. Do we have a clear framework that shows this is the way it's supposed to be followed for these people to get houses? Before, when it started with Uhuru Kenyatta, it was actually a really good project where you could save in some money, pay some deposit, and then after, depending on how much money you've saved and the deposit that you pay, you could get a house. You could be slaughtered, put into, getting to own a house, which was really good. It was practical, and I know a lot of people who enrolled with Boma Yangu. That time I think it was called Boma Yangu. I did enroll myself with that as well, but I pulled out when I started seeing zero clarity, when Ruto started making it mandatory to contribute for this. Housing project is a really good thing, but only if they were to make it as a mortgage, to subsidize. But now this housing project is being built on public land. So nobody will own like a real title for the land or something. Built on public land and then built through the taxpayers' money. Then nobody is owning that house for free. You have to pay for it. I think the cheapest house, which is like a studio apartment, which most people in Kenya would call it a bed-sitter, goes for about 750,000 or 1 point something million, depending on the location. Assuming a hustler, a boda guy or a mama mboga cannot take a bed-sitter or these studio apartments, so they need like maybe 1 bedroom house or 2 bedroom house, because basically they have a family. How much are they going to pay for that, and for how long they're going to pay for that? And why do they have to pay for that? We want people who cannot afford houses to get houses, yes, but they are going to pay for it, and for how long? Minimum of 30 years or something. Is it even guaranteed that after that 30 years they can still keep the houses? We don't know that. There's no proper framework that actually guarantees that. So personally, if you ask me, Ruto says that we have contributed about 40-something billion on this housing project. Then I saw another bill that was proposed that money that is contributed for housing levy can also be used to build like police stations and things like that. You see where there's no clarity? So as much as people are coming out and saying that this housing project is a scam, is because there's no clear framework on how these allocations of these houses is going to happen, or who is going to get the houses, who are not going to get the houses. There are so many questions that do not have an answer, and this is why people are saying that it is not well. And actually there's so many legal wars happening, the political, judiciary, and constitutional legal wars, that says that it's actually not constitutional, because it was a good idea when Uhuru was steering the project, because people would have contributed for it and actually pay to own the houses. But now that it's made mandatory for everyone, even for the people who actually own houses, how will they be guaranteed to get their money back? If it's, you understand the thing. Then Ruto comes and tells us that he wants to make Kenya like Singapore with housing project. Singapore was not built on housing project. The Singaporeans, the president of Singapore made it possible for people to own their own houses or build their own houses through raising the economy and making life affordable. That's what RUTO could have done. Then let people build their own houses. Same thing that is happening in Ethiopia. The condominiums, the government is actually like, giving people, cheap mortgages and things like that, building cheap blocks, those condominiums, and then subsidizing the rates and all that so that many people can be able to afford them. You understand? But they are not being forced to pay for the construction of the houses. But in Kenya, everything is quite opposite. Then RUTO goes everywhere, doing the campaign and trying to convince us how, it's the best thing, it's going to eradicate poverty, it's going to finish the slums and all that. This is the narrative he's trying to con us, because this is a con game. If you don't believe me, then try to resonate. How many people are contributing, and how do you know that you're going to get the houses? What are the procedures of getting those houses? Who determines who deserves the house and who doesn't? So same thing they did with SHA, and there's a lot of questions and so many questions and that don't have any answer. The same thing with the housing project. To me, it's just but a big scam. Let me know what you think. What are your ideas on this housing project? You think it's going to change Kenya, to transform Kenya and make it Singapore or whatever that RUTO dreams about? Or do you think it's just another scam that